Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Expert Talk with us here at Nexgen Careers. Today, we will be diving into plant-based nutrition with Mariana. But before we dive into today's topic, I just thought I'd give you guys a brief introduction into Nexgen Careers and what it is that we do and why we run these talks. So Nexgen Careers is supporting individuals in designing a future-proofed career. So how do we do this? We run on-site programs, mainly here in Barcelona, but also in other parts of the world in skills development and career development. And we also run digital programs in skills development and career development. So if there's anything of that you're interested in, you can click to our website and you can find some more information there. But apart from the courses, we also run these weekly expert talks as a way to bridge the gap between industries and also between education and careers. We want to bring the professionals to you so that you can meet them and explore what it is that they do before you take the plunge and jump into it. And we also provide free resources on our website regarding future-proofed careers in fields like health and wellness that we will be diving into today, but also creative industries, sciences, computing and engineering, and more. But enough about us. Now let's focus on today's topic, which is plant-based nutrition. So I want to wish a warm welcome to Mariana, who is an experienced professor and lecturer at various universities across the world. And she's also a nutrition writer, a clinical researcher, a nutrition consultant. And right now she's mainly working with kids' talent detection and children's development in sports and plant-based nutrition. So it's an honor to have you here today, Mariana. How are you feeling this Friday?
Good. It's so Friday. I can hear my voice now. Wow. I think I've never heard my voice before. But good, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So you have, as I said in the introduction, you have a very multifaceted career, and your career has been like sort of based on exploration and stuff and just moving with emotions. Yes. Which is great, I think is like the way to sort of design your career. It's just like, because that's how, yeah, you should do it, I feel. But I just wanted to ask you like what your day-to-day sort of looks like, because you're doing so many different things. So if you can just start by giving us an overview of your main day-to-day.
Okay, I will try.
Yeah.
because as you said, well, it's been quite a journey, and actually I feel like it's never ending. It's a never-ending journey, but it's actually a very pleasant one because well, I got my degree when I was 21 years old, and I'm 35 right now. I have to count them sometimes because I don't remember. Sometimes I say 33 and okay, you are forgetting some years. So I got my degree when I was 21 years old. And well, 1 year before I got my degree, one of my teachers, one of my professors at university told me, okay, what about you helping me to give some classes as an assistant? And I said, no, not at all. I don't feel like a teacher. I don't think I could talk with people because I was extremely shy. Believe me, extremely shy. And I said, no, I don't think so. And he said, just come here and we'll see. To make the story short, I love it. I fell in love with it. And I decided, okay, this is something that I really want to do. I didn't know if it was the only path that I wanted to follow, but in that moment, I said, okay, this is something that I like and I want to do it. And so in the meantime, I was ending my career as a nutritionist. I started to do the teaching career because in Argentina, you have a professor at university degree and you have to have it, you have to get it after you got your degree. So I studied both careers parallel. And when I ended up my career as a nutritionist, I took 1 year plus, and after that, I got my degree as a teacher. But for that moment, I was already teaching at university. After that, before as an assistant, and after that as a professor, and I got several subjects there. And in the meantime, of course, I got my degree, so I started to be a nutritionist. But you have to think 15 years ago, okay?
Yeah.
Think about 15 years ago when no one knew what a nutritionist did, because everyone thought that, okay, a nutritionist just go to a place, just attend some people, and she makes them lose weight. And I always attend to this word, she, because people think or tend to think that we're always women. And now it's increasing the number of men that are nutritionists. They are quite a lot actually now. And also they saw that the only thing that we could do as a nutritionist were just go to a place, attend people, and make him lose weight. And of course, I started doing that because it was the first path and no one knew what nutritionists could do in that moment. We didn't have post degrees, we had nothing at that moment. And I started doing that. And after a while, of course, I got several courses because it's your first time as a nutritionist, you don't know how to handle people. It's the truth. You know a lot about theory, but you know how to handle people. You don't know what you're dealing. People just tend to go to a consultancy to see what's going on with them, not just with their body, with their health, with everything. So it was kind of difficult. I was 21 years old. You know, it was like so scary. I remember sometimes, I will say this, sometimes I cried. I remember not in front of course, of the patients, but I remember going back home and saying, oh my God, I don't know how to handle this.
Mm.
No, sometimes it's very frustrating and you have to handle frustration too. I think I handle it every day yet, but
Yeah.
I think it was very interesting in that moment for me. Of course, it was not good, but it was interesting. And when I was doing that, I was teaching classes, and I think that gave me a lot of confidence about myself. Like, okay, you can talk in front of people, you have to study a lot because, of course, now it's Google time. So everything is on the web, and the weirdest things show up every day, nutrition related, of course. Yeah. So you have to be like always on the top. But I will try to make this story short. In the meantime of this, I started taking courses for different things because I feel like nutrition is a very important part of the science, but it's also a very new one. So we are always discovering what is our place, you know, inside health. Okay. So it's like, I will give you an example. When I got my degree, for example, a nutritionist in industry was something that was not even thinkable. Now we have nutritionists that are specialized in not just in children, not just in development, not just in plant-based, but nutritionists specialized in biotechnology. So they are helping to build some specific nutrients to make people stronger, better, with different kind of specific situations to improve their health, etc. So it was very new, and it was a very interesting moment because everyone was trying to figure it out. Okay, what are we going to do? Yeah. So I tried a lot of things. I love them all, of course, a few more than the others. But for example, I work as a geriatric consultant, a nutritionist, geriatric consultant. It was very strange because when they offered it to me, I said, I have no idea how to handle a geriatric consultant because my patients have never been that range, you know, that I love it. I learn a lot. Of course, I always taking a lot of courses, always taking a lot of advices because, of course, at the same time that I was doing this journey, a lot of people were doing this journey too. So they were trying to learn about something. And you also, I think that you also know yourself in this path because, for example, I start, of course, assisting people losing weight. And in the moment, I realized that that was not the path that I was going to take, that I like. You know, it was not me. So I said, okay, if this is not me, why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. There are so many professionals that are really good at this. Yeah. And we have so many space for everyone. So I said, okay, you know what? This is not my path. So I started talking with my consultants and I said, okay, I am not the best person for this, but I know someone that might be. And I started derivating people. And it was very interesting for me because I felt relief knowing that this is not my field. I have to derivate people who need it because, of course, it's a necessity. And I started following different paths. I learned, as I told you, as geriatric consultancies. I learned about different biology stages and how to handle nutrition about it. in the meantime of this, I knew a psychologist that was trying to build a company, but not just a company, but also a method about losing weight. And we started talking about this. I, of course, took a lot of courses and read a lot and talked with a lot of other professionals. And we designed a method about losing weight without losing pleasure. Okay, so we were very connected with the pleasure part, and we designed a method, and the method was really good, and people were joining it. And actually, in this moment, this company is actually functioning in Argentina. It has like over 300 patients daily, so it's very huge. And I'm very happy because it's actually something that I have helped to build. I'm not part of it anymore, but I've helped to build, and people are very happy with it because they have sustained their lifestyle, you know? So it's been a part of me. I am very proud of it, but I've changed and I've evolved. And in the middle of this, actually in that moment when I decided that, okay, this is not my path, I want to move, one of my ex-consultant told me, okay, you know, I am part of a business. The business is about sports. It's about soccer. And are you interested in to be the nutritionist of this? No, I'm not good at nutrition in sports. I've never seen that part in me, blah, blah, blah. As usual, you always say no. This is something you shouldn't do. But I always say, no, I don't think so. But I didn't try it. So they asked me, okay, go. And I just went there. I remember that the contract said 3 hours per week, just to see what was going on and if I could help. And 2 weeks later, I went there and said, okay, I will learn about this. Sorry. I will learn about this because I love it.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. And I started learning. I was taking courses. And of course, it was a huge different world because there were people at that moment, I'm talking about 8 years ago, there were people at that moment that were interested in this field and they were focusing on that. For example, I was living in Argentina at that moment. And I don't know if you know him, but Francis Holways is a very huge reference in Argentina and actually in the world. And he's very focused on kinetometric. They are specific measures that you take for sports players, actually for people in the world, but it is a very good strategic measures for understand how your body, yes, might evolve or is evolving and how you can change it based on those results to be better at a definite sport.
Okay.
Do you understand what I said or did I lose you? Kind of. You can do this or yeah, okay. So they are measures. You can measure a person and you can compare it with the ideal of that person or that area, that game. So you can build that body to make it better for that field. Okay. But the interesting thing for me of this was that, okay, you can do that with adult people, but what about kids? Because you say, people try to or tend to believe that starting from 13 years old, you are starting to make some muscles and you can build your, okay, but what about your genetics? Because these measures can tend to measure your genetics related to bones, the density. Based on the density of your bones, you can know how much muscle you might build in some part of your body. So for example, for a goalkeeper, it's very interesting to be bigger in muscles, for example, yes, in the up part, okay? So you can stretch more and cover more parts of a soccer ball, okay? So this idea is very interesting and is nowadays it's not just an idea, this is science and it's being projected and it's being proved, but it was something very interesting for me because I have no idea and I was starting to work in a soccer team. So I said, okay, I have to learn about this. So of course I went to the source. I looked for Francis Holway and I said, okay, where are you taking courses? I want to go with you, and start taking courses with him and start talking with the nutritionists that were around him. Say, okay, what's your field? What are you doing? And we start building a net. So this is just an example of the few things that I was building, but this is a very interesting idea because I think that one of the most important things in your career is is something, I don't know, interesting you, okay, go for it. Look for who is talking about it, who is writing about it, sending a message. What is the worst thing that may happen? That they don't answer you. It's okay. You can go for the next link person, you know? So it was very interesting because of that. And he's an amazing person. And I start looking for other courses. And then as I specialized in Barcelona about sports. Yes, you have a very interesting courses in Barcelona. And also I started talking with some people that wrote a lot of books about the sports, people who are, for example, in Australia. And I started asking questions about some papers. And I think that my career was built based on my interest. You know, sometimes you realize that, okay, I would have never thought that I would do this, but this is actually very interesting. I may learn. And also there are a lot of things that I've learned that I'm not applying it today, but I think they're very interesting for me. For example, I've taken some courses in Madrid about nutrigenetics. I've taken some post degrees in León, yes, at the University of León, about nutrigenetics and nutrigenomics, and they are amazingly interesting, but this is not a field I am dedicating now, maybe in the future, but I like to know. I think science, I think being a professional, is about that. It's about being interested in everything that is around your profession, because sometimes you learn something that you might apply, sometimes you learn something that you might say to someone and someone will be interested in that and will move forward to that part. I will give you another example. As you can see, I love talking. You can stop me anytime. But I always say that as a teacher, because I love teaching, and it was the first thing that I refused to do. And I always say that as a teacher, the thing that gives me the biggest pleasure is knowing that people that I have been in contact with, that they are amazing professionals and they are specialized in different fields and they are always evolving. I remember one of my assistants, my first assistant, Dani, she's an amazing nutritionist. She was always focused on people who were trying to lose weight. And now she's an amazing sport nutritionist. So yeah, she evolved, and it's very interesting about that. You don't have to stay in one part of your profession because you learn about something and you like it. Maybe something you are evolving, nutrition is evolving, it's a science. Yeah. So you have to always keep it up, you know?
Yeah, and what you're saying is like is very important when we talk about the future world of work as well. It's about the lifelong learning and yeah, exactly, lifelong learning and just keep adapting. And that, like, I wrote down some like key skills here that you were talking about, like human skills that we'd like to talk about when it comes to career development. As you said, like adaptability, like got thrown into teaching. We're like, okay, you adapted and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And that takes a lot of courage, which is another human skills that's very important in the future work.
And a lot of times
as well. Yeah.
Yes, and a lot of times you don't have the result that you want. You know, sometimes the consequences are not the greatest one, and you say, "Okay, this is definitely not my path." You know, it happens, but it's so good because I always say the same. I've tried quite a lot of things, so I'm pretty sure the things that I don't like. I'm not sure about the things that I like because I like a lot of things and I'm trying all the time. But I'm pretty sure about the things that I don't, and I think that is so interesting about a professional that, you know, okay, this is not my area of expertise. I will send you to someone that is really talking about that and knows what they have to handle about, for example. Exactly. And it's very interesting to build a net about the professional area, because sometimes nutritionists think, okay, I can handle it everything because I have my degree. Actually, you don't. You need to be always on the look for something new, and you have to build a net of professionals to know what you're handling. Because, for example, I have a nutritionist who is specialized, a friend who is specialized in kidneys. I have a nutritionist that is specialized in disorders. So, you know, when you have a different consultant, where you have to go. Yeah. Not everyone is for you.
Exactly. No, but it's good because now we got like a deeper or a wider overview of your expertise and what your career journey has looked like, which I appreciate, because I think it's really interesting, and you've done so much, and you have a really good attitude when it comes to your career and your career development. So thank you for sharing that. And moving on towards, because today the topic is like plant-based. So you haven't always been plant-based, but you did convert into like a plant-based diet. Like, I don't know how long it was ago now, but how long was it?
Yes, actually, I was counting that almost 2 years.
Okay.
Almost.
Cool.
It's not that much if you think about it.
Yeah, so like my question regarding that, because as a nutritionist, I can imagine that you have to you usually have a wider scope, I reckon. But when you go one direction in your own personal sphere, like you might want to adapt your services. And like, did you do that? Quite like, how was that journey for you, like going plant-based and then yeah, exactly, and turning your career plant-based? I don't know.
Well, actually, I told you this. I will make it very short. I tried. Actually, we were in the middle before the pandemic situation, and I was looking for a specific job that I love and I wanted, and they were asking for nutritionists that were plant-based. And of course, it was not my focus. I was not focused on that. I was focused on sports. So I said, okay, let's learn about this.
Yeah.
And suddenly the pandemic showed up, and I said, okay, let's just try it harder, because we were inside the house. We don't have a lot of things to do. So I started cooking and I started learning about plant-based nutritionists. Of course, I took a lot of courses in Argentina, here in Spain, and a few in the United States that they were online. And I started learning about, okay, the theoretical part, and I wanted to go with the practical part. So, okay, I am a nutritionist. I have to practice with myself. If you don't do that, you should. So you say, okay, this is a new thing. I want to learn how am I feeling, how are my results, my blood results, how am I feeling when I go for a run, for example. So I start like handling myself to see if I could handle others. Yeah. That is like the basic truth. And in the middle of this, of course, I started giving more advices to people plant-based related, because I was feeling so much better, and I was realizing that I could do it, that I could, of course, formulate all the plans and all the diets based on this idea. And suddenly people were like in a different approach to this. You know, I think also the pandemic gave us a huge step, you know, forward, because people realize that we have to be better with ourselves, and we have to be better with the surrounding environment. So I think that in a very different scale, of course, people are different, as all of us. I think in a very different scale, we start evolving about this idea. So of course, I offer my consultancy as a plant-based nutritionist and a sport plant-based nutritionist, but also I have a lot of patients that they are, for example, from Argentina. And if you don't know, Argentina is like Argentina equals cow, like eating.
That's true. There's a lot of meat in Argentina.
The first time they say I'm Argentinian and I'm vegan, it's like, no, you're not from Argentina. Yes, I am. People evolve. So I have a lot of patients that are like that. They eat meat, and what I try to do with them is try to focus not just on being vegan, but try to be to have a better health, plant-based related. Simple things, like, for example, if you are so used to have, I don't know, butter and jam on your breakfast, okay, instead of that, we can have, I don't know, some nuts spread cheese, you know, like something that was better. And I always try to focus on this. I think the most important thing when you are talking with a consultant is that you explain your reasons, okay, why you are doing this change. Because in a private consultancy, in a big consultant situation, when you are handling a lot of people, or even when you're handling just one, the most important thing is that you explain the reasons why you are trying to make this change. Because this is a negotiation. This is an every day and every minute negotiation. So if the other person understands why you are trying to make that change for him or for her, yes, is okay, I will try it.
Yeah.
Because they know that it's for their good. Even though they go to consultancy because they know it is to improve their health, you have to talk about these things.
Yeah.
And I think that every step counts. So I was doing an insight, change, and evolution. And also I try to do that with my patients, with my consultancies as well. So I think it's been very good and it's been quite a journey. And as I said, it's a challenging and everyday learning journey. And I have patients that they eat meat. I have patients that they don't. I have patients that they are going to very huge efforts, sports related. And I have for example, I have kids, I have teenagers, more than kids. I have 14 to 16 years old that they are, for example, trying to enter to a soccer league or to a basketball team league. And it's very interesting to have, for example, a talk with the family to talk about, okay, we are trying to make a different, a change of habits, plant-based, because this is going to be better for him, this is going to be better for the family.
Yeah.
It's not just to achieve their goals in the professional area, but also to achieve goals in their health area, you know? So I think to make a summary of this, I think that the most important thing in order to promote plant-based sports nutrition is always to negotiate and to talk about, okay, what are our goals? Why are we going to change this? And what are the benefits, yes, and the consequences on doing it? And it's always a step by step. Maybe one day is changing your already bought at the supermarket juice, and 2 days later they are using their oranges and using the cover of the oranges, I don't know, to make some tea. Yeah. So, and they see the improvements. So it's a step by step plant-based nutrition for sure.
Yeah, but that's really cool. And I understand it better now, like when you explain it, because when I see plant-based nutritionist as a brand, I have the bias, which is building on to my next question, but that like, okay, so this nutritionist only works with plant-based people, you know, and like she will only give advice within this field, and you know, but that's really good that you could emphasize that you can still give advice, but like in other.
And actually it's because of that, because suddenly if you see a nutritionist plant-based, like, okay, I have to be vegan to go with her. No, actually, I have a lot of patients that are not vegan and they are trying to improve their health and they understand the consequences of not a good nutrition. So starting from there, you can make a lot of changes. Maybe they are small ones, maybe they are huge ones, but they are always step by step. Yeah. So I think that I have to handle everyone in order to understand that I also was from the other side. I changed from the dark side to the other side, but it's like an everyday change. Yes.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's something to take away, I think, for any aspiring nutritionist. Is like you need to have like an overall scope, I guess, in order to understand everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
And also something that you were saying, I want to like make a little talk about this.
Yeah.
You know that plant-based now is like, I know it's a science and we are evolving to that, but also we are in an industry, we are in capitalism. And of course, at the same time that nutrition is evolving, also the marketing. So I understand that, for example, as you can see a plant-based food in order to improve your health, you also can see fast food that are plant-based. And you say, okay, but this is healthier. Discussable. Discussable. So I think that the best choice always is to read and to be informed.
Yeah.
For example, the labeling, yes, of food is very important to learn how to read it and also to teach your patients to read it.
Yeah.
You know, because a hamburger can be plant-based and can also be as bad, and let's just take bad into courses, yes, can be as bad in fat, for example, as a normal, yes, a patty.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
Yes, I always try to clarify that because people say, oh, but I eat, I'm not going to say brand, but I eat, no, burger. And yes, okay, it has a lot of fat. So I'm pointing, or I'm aiming to proteins. I'm aiming to nutrients like vitamins and stuff like that. So That is why it's so important to talk with the patients about these things.
Yeah. Exactly. Awesome. Thank you for that point. And when it comes to like food and diets in general, it can be like a very like loaded discussion, and it is a big discussion in the world, like in our modern society for the past, I don't know, 50 years. It's been like a thing for sure. But we've come a long way to like explore like non-traditional diets, such as like the plant-based one. Though like there's still a lot of, or like, I don't know, from personal experience, I can't talk about this topic without throwing in my personal experience.
Yes,
I'm also, I'm not vegan, but I'm vegetarian, and I do experience personally diet bias from people. And I wanted to ask you, like, how have you been handling that in your profession? Like, do you have a lot of prejudice in your work as a plant-based nutritionist, or how has that been for you in your career?
Well, I always try to say, like, to point to the worst thing of myself in order to people feel more comfortable about it, because I always remember that 13 years ago when I started teaching at university, I remember that being a vegetarian was a very strange thing. That people said, oh, they're vegetarians. And I remember students talking about this and say, just eat a cow and leave me alone and things like that. And I think we have evolved to today, yes. And I always talk about this. Now I try to be more chill about this. Of course, at the beginning, I was like, leave me be what I want to be. But now I understand that we have different points of view. Some days, of course, it works. But I think that the hardest part is to be able to make other people understand that it's a choice. Okay, so I am taking a choice because I want to feel better, not just about myself, but about the consequences of the things that I do, you know? I think it's because of that. But to answer your question, I think at the beginning it was very hard. I have to appreciate the pandemic in that situation specific, because of course we were inside our houses, we were locked, so I didn't have to handle going to have dinner with other people. So it was easier. But of course, in the moment that you have to go out with some people and you have to say, okay, I'm making a different choice, but we can all eat together, don't worry. And sometimes it was hard, of course, but you also learn how to handle it. For example, now when I go to a restaurant and I know that I will make probably a different choice that someone is next to me, I say, okay, let's just choose a platter. Let's just everyone pick something different, and then we choose another plate, for example. Or if we're going to have dinner to some place or to some friend houses, okay, I can bring something and I can share it. Or if not, I can make myself something. I'm more relaxed about it. But I think that it's the construction as everything in life, you know, sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's easier. But if you're sure about what you want, people will understand because you understand the rest. So it's just an everyday thing. I think.
And like when it comes to your professional life and your work with clients, you said before that you work with all kinds.
And it's very challenging because sometimes I say, I'm talking about meat with you. I said, I've eaten meat, you know, it's not like I was born vegan. I've eaten meat. I know the taste of the meat. I know you like it. I know how to cook it, you know. I've learned, so I know. So it's okay. And we can talk about meat and we can talk about, okay, what about meat and maybe some salad with it, you know? So I'm just a little step by step pushing towards that food. But I think it's very interesting because actually the majority of my patients, they are not plant-based, but they are going through that path because they are more plant-based now than they were at the beginning. So for me, that is a very good goal because eating different, eating more vegetables, eating more fruits, makes them have a different idea of taste. Actually, they have been doing a very long research on the last 5 years about this, that as much fruits and vegetables you incorporate to your everyday meal, you start like opening your taste range So you can taste different flavors. I think it's very interesting. And this is a very good tip for sharing with the consultants. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. And my next question is about the future, which we always try to touch upon in these conversations. So would you say that, let's focus on plant-based sports nutritionist.
Yes.
Is that a career of the future, you think, and why? If that's
Well, I actually truly believe this is the career of the future. Why I think so? Because I think this focusing two very specific areas of health. One is sports, and sports is like one of the basic steps or fields in your health. In order to improve your health, you have to stop being seated and move. Whatever is your kind of move, but you have to move. Yes. Of course, if you are a professional sports player, of course, we are talking in a specific area. But general people, you have to move. So I think sports is the future, and I think it's evolving towards, the whole world is evolving towards that area. And nutrition, I think it has always been a part of science and of life. But I also believe that on the last 20 years, maybe more, but for me, it's been 20 years. On the last 20 years, I think nutrition has gained so much weight in the health area. You know, I don't know if you can appreciate in different countries, but for example, I have been a consultant in Peru, I have been a consultant in Ecuador, in Chile, here in Spain, and I can see that going back 15 years ago, nutritionists didn't have the place that they have now, you know. So I think it's a very interesting area to go for and always focus and try to be specific and learn. And in some point, you realize that this is not the area that you want to achieve or the place where you are getting better, evolve, move. But I truly believe that nutrition and sports are the future in the whole world. And also basically in the science area. I will go for more.
That's great though, to know and to hear, like, since you've been in the field for, what did we say, 15 years?
Yes.
Yeah, but like that you've seen the involvement already, what's happened.
Yes, and it's amazing. And it's going for more. Yes.
Yeah.
For example, now I am finishing my master in biotechnology, and everyone's like, why biotechnology? This is not your expertise area. Actually, because of that, I feel very intrigued about this area and I want to improve it. And I think that this is one step forward, yes, nutrition and sports. Yeah. So I want to know how to handle it. So another one.
Keep evolving. Yeah, that's great. So we're going to move to the last part of this interview, which are 3 quick questions with 3 quick answers, which are questions that we ask everyone who comes on these interviews. So we're going to have, this is a challenge for you, Mariana, see if we can keep it short. I don't know. I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. I will try. Yes, I know. I talk a lot. I told you.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I think we are all very happy to hear your opinion. That's why we're here. So, yeah. So, question number 1 is, what good in the world does your job do?
I think it's improving people's health. So I think it's one of the most important parts of the job. I think it's the important part of the job. And I also believe that talking about this and being educated about this and talk with other professionals about this is the right way to go.
Yeah.
Awesome. To make a better world.
Yeah. And what part of your job makes you want to wake up in the morning?
Oof, I love the challenge. I love challenges, as you can see, but I love the challenge of being challenged. I will explain this very shortly. My consultants are always a challenge for me because they always have different questions. Internet has made everyone learn good and bad things. So you always have to be on the run for it. You have to learn, you have to talk, you have to read. So I think that is the most important part for me. And that is why I wake up in the morning, to have that challenge of talking, discussing, and learning.
Amazing. And what advice would you give to someone looking to explore in your field today?
Okay, first of all, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of being wrong, because I've talked with a lot of now nutritionists in that moment, students that were very afraid of asking a wrong question or making a silly question like, oh my God, why do you ask that? We don't know everything. We don't have all the answers. It's very good to ask, because maybe in that question, you will be triggering a lot of other things that you will be interested to know. And suddenly you can find an area you want to explore. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to send messages. Don't be afraid to go to courses that might be way too much in the first time you see it, because it will force you to learn, to talk with other people. And for me, the best advice is don't be afraid. Just try, and if you get wrong, you can get up and do it again.
Great. That was it from me.
I did it very fast.
That was really good. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mariana. For everyone who has joined this call live, we will stay on if you have for you to ask any questions to Mariana. And for those who have joined afterwards online, thank you so much for watching this video. Feel free to connect with Mariana on LinkedIn, with me on LinkedIn, and we can all build our network. So awesome. I will turn off the recording now and we will get to the Q&A.